You have a big butt, wide hips, big boobs, tiny waist, fake lashes, veneers, wigs, weaves, and you're still not feminine. Hi everyone, this is Nika Onilifor here to make the invisible visible. And two quick things before I jump into this video. The first thing is that if you are not subscribed, you might want to go ahead and subscribe, because over the next several weeks, I am going to be getting into some very hot topics. We're just going to say, not going to say controversial, but hot topics. The other thing is that if you are interested in being a content creator or a author, but I'm going to be doing a series at the end of every video called What Content Creators Never Tell You. And again, for authors, maybe in a few weeks from now, I'll be delving into what authors never tell you. So again, stay tuned until the end for those tips. And last thing, real quick here, is I'm wearing a sweater that says Curated Legacy, and this is the name of my business. So I am a consultant and a coach, and I coach those who want to be content creators as well as authors. I also have a book called My Own Gaze, Memoir of an Invisible Black Woman, and let's get into it. So there's a femininity crisis amongst Black women in the Black community, and in case you haven't heard, there's a lot of femininity content on the internet specifically geared to Black women. There's also the soft life, which I'm sure you have heard about, hashtag soft life, which it has to do with Black women living a life of, for the most part, luxury and traveling and, spending money and living it up, and nothing is wrong with that. But I want to talk about the femininity crisis, because I think a lot of what we're seeing with the soft life content is kind of coming from the same place. And this is not a video to demean anyone who is interested in soft life or anything like that. Anyone who's interested in femininity content. I think in some ways, some of this femininity content can be very useful, because what it does is it exposes an area that many Black women have never taken the time to study. And quite frankly, you might ask, well, why do you need to study that? Well, I think, in terms of how we as Black women were raised, the way we've been socialized to think, it makes sense that we need to take a few steps back and educate ourselves on things like femininity, because many of us have not had the opportunity to express femininity. And I'm going to talk about how that plays out and why that is.
For a lot of people, Black women are symbols of things. We are ideas.
Yes.
We are not actual human beings. And a lot of the history of Black women and Black womanhood, at least in the United States, which is a very limited history of, Black femininity itself, is rooted in our bodies and what our bodies have been able to do and what our bodies have been able to produce.
Right.
So from, a kind of historical perspective, I think a lot of it starts there.
And so, yeah, I think that we are in a crisis in that way. I think we're also in a crisis of what it means to be a young woman.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of, pieces and discussions that are happening on the internet are saying men are lashing out because women are excelling in society or becoming more equal, and they don't know how to handle it, in a sense. Do you think it's that simple, or is that a part of the puzzle?
So yeah, it's difficult. We are difficult. We can be a challenge to digest. Mm-hmm. You are a lot. Mm-hmm. I am a lot. And we didn't come with instructions on how to best digest this meal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then when we find our voice, and it took me a long time to just accept I'm a lot. Mm-hmm. And not in an ego way.
Yeah.
Not in an ego way. I don't say it like that at all. I just say, well, God, you a lot. And not in a bad way. So we are a lot. We are a lot. And when we own and when we discover and own, find and use our voice, not only can it be a lot to handle. Now, I can get beat up for this, but heck, I'm a sister. We can sometimes scream when all we need to do is whisper. Mm-hmm. Because so long we haven't had the voice.
Yeah.
We're like, hey, hold on, you can hear this? You can hear this. This is going to cause you to respond. I've been holding on to this voice for a long time. And then we, and our powerfulness, we just want to show the power when we may not. I'm not saying in every chance. And I know I might frustrate some people. I might anger some people. But, I'm here for the dialogue.
Yeah.
We don't say, hold on. Not only do I want to be responsible for how I speak this truth, but I want to step over here and see how does it sound when it lands before I speak it. Yeah. A lot of times we're analyzing it, but it's too late. We already said it. So yeah, it's hard. No.
So the Black femininity crisis, this is not something that is new. In my opinion, I think that Black women historically have always struggled in this area. Why? Because of our unique circumstance and our unique history. And during slavery times, and you look at the experiences of the Black family, we see lots of examples of why Black women have had to fend for ourselves. And, this is in no fault to the Black man, because we know that when Black women were enslaved, so were Black men. And we know that, families were oftentimes split up, with the women being the ones to carry, a particular burden. Then you fast forward into Jim Crow, you fast forward into sort of like the welfare system in the 1960s, mass incarceration, we can keep going with it. So there's been a lot of historical reasons as to why femininity has not been the top priority for Black women. The top priority for Black women has by and large been surviving and survival. And, I think that Black women crave femininity. And I think a lot of what we're seeing in our culture, our modern culture, is Black women doing their best to reclaim femininity at all cost. So if you see a Black woman with, for example, very, very long fingernails, like fake fingernails, I think that is a display of femininity. The BBL epidemic, a display of femininity. There's a lot of things that we can look at in our modern culture. Wigs and weaves. I just previously did a video about Black women wearing wigs and weaves. Again, I think that is a way in which Black women are trying to display femininity. And, to reference the video I put out some days ago, it was said in the video that, we associate femininity with certain types of women, which is why we wear the hair types, the hair texture of the women that we sort of idolize their femininity, if that makes sense. And so this femininity crisis, I think, it's interesting because I would say that, maybe historically, this femininity crisis was internal and maybe, sociological or socio-political, but now this femininity crisis is, I think, manifesting externally. And some of the ways that manifests is through, again, like I said, how we wear our hair, our nails, could be makeup, again, the lashes, and all the things we think we have to do to appear to be feminine. But I'm going to argue that, these things, although they may seem like overt displays of femininity, and they may make us feel good, and maybe in some ways give us a competing edge against the next woman, I also argue that in some ways, our obsession with all of these different, not only, whether it's procedures or just sort of the upkeep of the nails and the weaves and the lashes and all that, I think it's an incredible time suck. And I think that it's also an energy suck, meaning it takes a lot of time and energy to maintain all of these things. And so as we sort of try to reclaim femininity, additionally, I think a lot of these quote unquote displays of femininity do not trigger us to be more feminine, but also can potentially trigger lust. And I think, there is a way in which when you display yourself as having a lot of extras, again, the lashes and the super long nails and the very long weaves, all of that stuff, you will attract attention. 100% you'll attract attention. The question is, what kind of attention? From who? And a lot of times the attention that you will attract will be very temporary and very transactional. And so I think there's this big question in, the Black community, specifically coming from Black men, regarding why is it that Black women are so obsessed with wigs and weaves and lashes and waist trainers and, all the things, why are we so obsessed? And again, I think it is because we at all costs are seeking to be feminine, but it is to look feminine. The question is that translating to our actions, our demeanor? Is that translating over into other areas of our lives? And I'm not sure. I don't think so. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think so. And so, yeah, I just wanted to kind of drop that real quick. I'm going to, again, be delving deeper into this. So some of the topics I'm going to be covering over the next several weeks is body dysmorphia. And also, I think I mentioned lust not being a compliment. I actually want to do a video specifically about that. I did not come up with that tagline, by the way, but it's a good tagline. Lust is not a compliment, which is very true. And yeah, so now transition here to what content creators never tell you. Okay, so this is for those of you who want to be a content creator, or just, you want to do something similar to content creation. It could also be for those of you who just are nosy and want to hear about content creation, which is fine. So one of the things that content creators never ever tell you is that we all have a fear of not being liked. We all want to be liked. But one of the things about being a content creator is that you do have to, ideally, you really need to overcome your fear of being liked. You need to overcome your fear of sharing your opinions and being met with resistance. And in doing so, what usually happens is that you realize that more people think like you than you thought. Now, of course, there are going to always be people who don't think like you, who don't agree with you, who, no matter what you say, they're going to say something, negative. And that's fine. And that's just part of the world of content creation. If you're putting your ideas out there, then you have to be willing to accept the response. But I think that is inherent in all of us, right? And I think to truly become a good content creator is you have to work on taking risks and not being afraid to share topics and ideas that you may have never shared out loud, or things that most people don't typically talk about. And I also wanted to just say, for those of you who do want to get into making content, or again, if there's anything you're seeking counsel or coaching on, that, I want to encourage you to take that leap and, just start. And I know it's so cliche because so many people say that, but it's actually true. You guys, I started my YouTube journey in July 2022. And I still remember hitting record for the first time. You guys can actually go back and watch my first video if you really want to suffer through that. But I remember hitting record for the first time. And I look back at that and I was like, whoa, I think I've come far. But you just have to get started, right? Like, it was a point where I had no idea how I was going to include YouTube into my already busy schedule in everyday life. Like, I have a full-time job, I have a daughter, I have a fiance, I'm planning a wedding, I cook, I clean, I do all the regular stuff, right? I think I said I have a full-time job. Yes, I said that. So how in the world, and I'm an author as well. So I also have a book that I should be doing a better job promoting. And I recently also started a business. So I had no idea how I was going to squeeze YouTube into my life, but I took a leap of faith. And as I started to make videos, it actually helped me gain more clarity on my own message. So This is just, a few tips here for those who want to be a content creator. And again, every single video, if you stay till the end, I'm going to be giving some tips for, like I said, content creators, writers, and other artists. So if you're interested in my services, click the link in the description box for my website. There is a contact me box at the end of my website. And if you put your email address in there, we can definitely connect off YouTube. Thanks so much for all of you for watching this video. Like, share, and subscribe. And as always, stay tuned for more videos.